Loyalty is paramount in our career development agenda. Always dedicate your loyalty to the state, the constitution, and political leadership. Perform your duties without fear or favor in line with the rule of law. Try your best to be consistent in carrying out your assigned tasks, bearing in mind with the economic realities on the ground. It is only when we are consistent that our political leaders could be able to perform their duties without an iota of doubt. So therefore, strive your utmost best to serve the nation with a clear conscience. Let me remind you that as you join the armed forces from different locations, could be villages, towns, therefore try to do your best to ensure that we don't do anything that would disrupt the peace and the democratic gains that we have gained in this country. On discipline and absence of without leave, I must emphasize that discipline is the foundation of every soldier to carry out his assigned task. Without discipline, command and control actually becomes very challenging, particularly to commanders and military leaders. It will be stressed that lack of discipline would not be tolerated. It's better. I saw people most of the time leaving our units on owl, and every time we are receiving reports of that nature. Why not wait for your time? If it is the time to leave, you leave. If it is the time for you to resign, you resign honorably, rather than leaving unceremoniously without benefits and disgrace. The military profession is a noble job in which the idea is that you must give respect to your leaders so that you will be able to be respected. Okay, it's a reciprocity. On the social media, there was a time that a soldier of this unit was involved in a social media issue, which led to his dismissal from the Gambia Armed Forces. There is actually a zero-tolerance policy towards social media for those serving in the Gambia Armed Forces. Therefore, if you accept you are given the chance to do so, or through the public relation officer, you don't have to be the public relation of the Gambia Armed Forces. You should at all costs try to avoid social media. This way you will safeguard your career, and also it's necessary for people to be counseling each other. As serving members, we should know what is the do's and don'ts of the force, particularly trying to know those ethos that is responsible, the customs that is in the military. You know them, and you'll be able to do your job without fear, okay? Try to be each other's brothers' keepers, safekeepers. In this way, we'll be able to safeguard the unity among us. On respect for superiors, showing respect for superiors is a must because this is a source of discipline in the military service. Lack of respect for superiors will result into indiscipline, and this is a chargeable offense in the military. Discipline requires that kind of reciprocity, but it develops your acumen as an individual to adopt and work in any environment or any situation. Drug peddling. On drug trafficking, there is a zero-tolerance policy towards it. You should therefore ensure that you encourage yourself, particularly among yourself, that we, the members, particularly those of us wearing the uniforms, we should try to ensure that, know that there is both two laws, that is the military law and that of the civil law, which is always guiding us. Therefore, anyone that is dismissed out of from the armed forces is actually to be handed over to drug and law enforcement agents, and he will face the full wrath of the law. And this has been the practice in the military. So these laws will hunt someone if he commits such an offense. On security awareness, when you see, when you hear, you report it. Because what happened is that it will prompt other actions to the appropriate authorities for one to be reminded that critical information or critical security information, if there is a delay, it could lead into response. There'll be delay in response and response rate. Your sub-commanders can even attest to this, that there is a need to get information for there to be an operational timeline for any operational setting. Understand the information, getting it on time is always important. This is due to active timeline involved in risk assessing a situation, in planning a course of action for a situation, in deciding, even making decisions So all of this is needed. You should endeavor to master your security environment to counter threats in order to manage them efficiently. Now, as situations may look like, in the region, there is a lot of terrorism issue. We are not in that threat, but understand the contemporary environment. As the environment gets changes, particularly we are the people that deals with security issues, internal security. You should be definitely ensuring that you get information. Now on civil-military relation, I must commend this unit actually for maintaining efficient and better correlation, civil-military relations. Because if you are dwelling in a community, let them know what you are doing, and you also should know what they are doing, so that there will be that trust for exchange of information to take place. Without them informing us about what is happening in their communities, we will not be very much informed, even if our presence is around. So therefore, this is a collective responsibility that will benefit everyone. We must endeavor, therefore, to nurture already existing relationship between the Gambia Armed Forces and the population. Remember that at some point in our life, it's either we retire or we get tired, but we'll leave the job at some point. Therefore, you should have that better relationship when you're in the service, after the service. Another thing is on professional development and malingering. Professional and academic development for both collective and individual responsibility helps us to carry out an assigned task efficiently. But one should ensure that that continuous development is always happening. You should know much about your professions. You should know about the role of this unit. You should know the laws covering this unit. You should know your responsibilities very well. But as you're doing collective development, ensure that the duties that you are carrying out routinely in the unit is not affected. Okay? Furthermore, regarding malingering, some people have the habit of booking unnecessary sick, I am sick, I am sick. And all this is done to avoid carrying out duties. But I did not say that if you are seriously sick, you cannot go there. But if you are sure that you are malingering, remember you are going to affect somebody on duties. The person on duty, they will touch in another somebody. That man was thinking of going back to his family. He will not go because somebody is already reported and always continuously reporting. But when salary time comes, he will never be sick. So those are the kind of things that we should desist from. On a political stand, I believe the CDS will also dwell more on that, but we should act as a family and avoid political involvement. It must be reiterated that politics is strictly forbidden, and participation could lead to serious reprimand or even dismissal. So one should avoid manifesting or wearing party colors in the military while you're here. Be reminded that you have a contractual obligation to remain loyal to the state and act professionally, especially during political events, which will have little bit ahead to be happening. You are expected to show maturity, be very professional. You have the right to vote as an ordinary Gambian, but that does not imply that you can exercise your political stand openly to the public at any time while in this uniform. You should avoid it. On training and operational readiness, according to Erwin Rommel, alias Desert Fox, a German general during World War II, says that, I quote, "Training is one of the best welfare a commander can give to his soldiers." And I believe this has to do with the logo, which is the sign which is here, train hard and fight easy. This is really real. You must therefore focus on ongoing training directives that is issued by the CDS, and this will help us to be operationally very, very ready. And this will help us, in fact, to deal with contemporary threats that are actually occurring. The threats before were nation to nation. It is no longer even that way. In fact, there are threats that we never even knew that they're happening, but now they're happening. We see unfamiliar things happening. So we should be ensuring that the training methods has to be directed towards the new threats that are existing. There have been real serious issues some months ago that some banks were robbed, some people were killed. All those things will happen in society. But we should change according to the threats, also understanding what the normal training that we are doing and the training to handle with threats that are existing right now. So note that training is a function of command. It should be a continuous process, and it should be done throughout the